first, second, and third sets of details for Season 9 have been finally revealed by the guys at WWE SuperCard, and we're going to break everything down so you get to see exactly what's coming now and in the future, and even further in the future. We're even going to be talking Season 10 in this video. You didn't hear me wrong. Season 10. Yes, because in a rather girthy post, they outed their plans not just for the beginning of Season 9, but the middle and end of Season 9, and the future as well. But since they dropped, there's been a lot of questions, which is why I've held back to get those questions answered. We're going to clarify everything that was mentioned in that blog post, break it down in full, and then answer questions about PvP progress, what happens with your TSG rewards, and what the changes mean for you when playing the rest of Season 8. But let's get started off by the big talking point in WWE today, and that is Logan Paul and that match yesterday with him and Roman Reigns. It was pretty something. So let me know what you think about that match in the comments down below, along with your thoughts on Season 9. I tell you what, it was weird seeing Jake Paul there. On the subject of him, and the topic of conversation, if you include the word 10, then I'll give you a heart for doing so. But let's just not talk about Team 10 or Everyday Bro, okay? Cool. And I want to know if you're hyped for Season 9. If you are, or you find this video helpful in informing you with what's coming up, I need you to grab your phone, start recording, and then jump 20 feet through the air onto El Lyco, who will be positioned on the announce table. Yeah, you need to smack that like button that hard. But like I said, this is a pretty thick post, so we gotta get into it and break it down. Time to segue. Transition! So let's look at the announcement, and we're gonna answer a couple of questions that people have already sent to me on Twitter and in the YouTube comments, and also my Discord, which the link will be in the description and comments down below. So we start off with a new season is on the horizon. SuperCard Season 9 launches this November. They've split this up into two sections. One is what's coming at launch, and two, what is coming later on. Then, what this is all leading to, which is something you've not seen before in these announcements. They even go as far as to talk about Season 10. Yes, Season 10 has been announced when Season 9 got announced. Crazy. The first of the new features is Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, which is a new asynchronous mode, I hope I said that right, where you and a foe take turns guessing where each other have hidden their tables, ladders, and chairs on the grid. That basically is WWE's version of Battleship. You sunk my chair, I think. Then announcer cards. Now this is going to be similar, I imagine, to the manager cards, and a more permanent edition where you can change it, but it's across the board immediately upon the game starting. Although I don't know the real benefit of this yet, we'll have to see what happens. But it says it's a new item for your collection. Announcer cards can be equipped and will occasionally praise you as you play. In ring, you'll see your announcer sitting behind the desk. I'm saying this now. If we do not get what a maneuver every time I've hit a finisher, then I'm refunding my free game somehow. So to see the likes of Michael Cole, I'd like to hope Pat McAfee, Wade Barrett is another one, and he was in NXT, so the possibility is he will show up as well. And Corey Graves, plus the opportunity to bring in some of the older names like Macho Man, Randy Savage, Gorilla Monsoon as an example. They could even bring back Vin. Oh yeah, we can't say his name. Sorry, he was a naughty boy. They're adding new support for new championships. So I imagine the Intercontinental, the United States, possibly tag team championships, special equipment, talent-specific equipment that give big boosts to select stats. Think of it as a new way to personalize your cards further. So the way I see this is that, for example, Sheamus might have his shillelaghs that he's been using when he's been with the Brawling Brutes. You could see Alexa Bliss come to the ring with Lily. Or you could attach a handbag to Roman Reigns, you know, the one he keeps his dog in. Sorry, that's just Paul Heyman. My guess is to make it a bit more specific, and perhaps you'll be able to get these from QR codes or some form of additional quests. But would they be able to be used on other superstars, or would we be limited to that specific superstar? It seems like an extension of the idea where you've got Triple H's boots, you had the Cody Rhodes belt. It seems like an extension of that. Then next up is chat duels. Now this is something that people have been asking for a while, but I kind of feel like they've overstepped. They could have just made this a little bit simpler, and I'll explain why. The ability to play against people in watch party. So you can go to pick a name, you can say, I want to duel you, and the person can come back and say, yeah, sure, let's go. Let's have a wild game, and we can play each other and see who wins. Now, as much as I think this is a great idea, and it's great that they've decided to finally put this in the game, but wouldn't it just be better if you had a friend system that you could just go into your profile and play anyone? Doing it exclusively through Watch Party, whilst it's a way of getting people to use it, does have problems, and that is that the global chat is a problematic in its own right, but also that the game mode is really laggy. Unless you're on iOS or a really good Android phone, it's pretty much lag city. A lot of people don't really want to play against randoms, they just want to play against their friends. Maybe they'll extend upon that later on with a proper friend system, but this feels a little bit overdone, which is weird because usually they're underdone and they have stuff coming later. This feels the opposite. And the bit that everyone looks forward to when a new season comes in, 3 new tiers with a twist. Now, we haven't had any hints or details of any of the tiers just yet, and I'm imagining over the next week we'll get those. But the big news is that we are finally getting something that I think a lot of people expected, but I predicted back when they were announced or shown for NBA SuperCard, and that is the stats sliding in on the cards. We are finally getting cards back. Yes, no more stats showing on the outside during gameplay, so you'll still see the stats. But when you see the wrestlers doing their moves, you're going to see the stats slide in, so it looks a bit more like a card game, which is the whole point. It's a way of reducing the criticism, I guess, about how high the numbers are on the cards when you can't see the numbers when it's during the gameplay. And in my opinion, it looks really cool. I just hope we get less of what's gone on in NBA SuperCard, where I honestly feel they've run out of ideas for the tiers. Now it looks a bit awkward. So maybe what's coming up later on in the announcement will change that, but I'm excited, but also a little bit reserved on that one. So that's the last of the new features, but let's talk about what's coming up in Season 9. They've announced a lot of things they're planning to do. While Season 8's focus was on creating additional opportunities to experience SuperCard together, Season 9's focus is going back to where it all started many seasons ago, SuperCard as a hobby. I've heard that one at least twice. I would like to see them actually stick to it this time. The amount of FOMO in this game, that is fear of missing out, is increasing. And I'd like to see them really scale back on some of the crazy grinds that we all need to achieve to get not just special cards, but event cards and fortifies. They say it's been a long-term vision of theirs to create a game that you can play wherever you want, whenever you want, or however you want, having diverse modes, an incredible amount of collectible content, robust reward systems that support all types of schedules are all vital to keeping this vision going. I'm just going to go out there and say this directly to Cat Daddy now. If you're watching, heroic is the biggest issue you've got with that. Doing the rest of the grinds, momentum aside, for PvP, it's not a necessity, but to obtain an upgrade to an event card, which is already quite a grind, heroic is an issue. So they say to do that, they're adding value to the card collection aspect, and this is also why we're going to launch with a totally new asynchronous mode, allowing you to compete for rewards even when your foe isn't online. In December, they're also adding a new solo-ish endeavor, so I'm guessing it's a new mode called In Your House that will allow you to compete day by day as the holiday season progresses. It's also important for us to talk about how we'll be looking backwards in Season 9, as that's growing more crucial over time. Turns out that when you make new stuff, your older stuff automatically feels older. Why do I feel like that spelling mistake might be a hint at something?
Automagically. Adverb. Automatically, in a way that is hidden from or not understood by the user, and in that sense, apparently, magical. I downloaded an app that automatically adds a travel itinerary to my calendar whenever I buy a plane ticket.
But yeah, it does bring into consideration the fact that Road to Glory as a game mode has barely changed apart from what they brought in with making the earlier parts of Road to Glory easier and less of a grind to get through. Wild mode hasn't changed across since Season 2, apart from, again, the changes they've made to the game itself. And the Fusion Chamber is a Fusion Chamber. It's not needed to change. Maybe it does now with these new shifter cards. They say that we've spent a lot of time with them in Season 8 giving feedback on what you want to see from the game, especially from the older modes, and throughout Season 9 they'll be making changes to content based on that feedback, retuning pieces of the game to bring it more in line with modern SuperCard. Now, these new features I'm about to talk about do not come out at launch, so don't expect to see these probably for at least a month plus, maybe even going as long as next year's SummerSlam tier it could be. Let's talk about true battle passes. They are bringing battle passes into the game. This, I think, has been necessary for a while. Super passes were great. There's one massive part of super passes I hope they keep for the battle pass, and that is the gifting element, where if you gift, you get a discount for that person. And it basically means more people are going to be more likely to pick up your battle pass if you can get a discount by gifting it to people. The problem with the super pass was it always started at the very beginning of an event, and by the end of that event, the content dried up. You probably had already achieved what the end goal was, and over time they've made it significantly weaker. In my opinion, the best super pass we ever had was the one in February of this year, and since then it's got worse. We need something that's going to be regular, ongoing. It's going to offer rewards that we are not going to be able to get in different modes, and on top of that, it's going to offer a good free and a good pay to play method, and it'll be a great way of bringing in new features to the game, or new types of cards, maybe giving the paid route access to earlier versions of content, and then bringing it out to the free crowd once they've been the guinea pigs as such. They want to redefine how PvP and teams work. They believe that teams modes should be offering more passive benefits, and they're exploring that. I mean, an NBA SuperCard, they have just brought in the long-rumored team quests. Now, these were actually revealed back in Elemental tier, but they've not made their way to the game until now, and it didn't even end up in this game. It ended up over on the NBA side. So I would imagine that will be coming at some point soon. They're also looking to change War Up, which I 100% agree. War is basically a ranked version of Wild. They're also changing the card stat bands. Now, I think they're talking about this, where you're looking at the preview of the card, and it says some of our new friends are finding it hard to see what stats are better. You know, that would be easier if you dropped the stat numbers. I'm just going to go out there and say that, okay? They're looking at reimagining collecting sets of cards. They want to make the collections where you can obtain cards in your catalog more intentional, as opposed to effectively a crapshoot of constantly trying to get every card you can based on a random chance collection. So I would hope that means we're going to get something like the New Day, or not say New Day, the Up Up Down Down collectible event, where, if you remember, back in Season 7, you got a bunch of QR codes, you got them together, and if you claimed them all, you got a special card at the end. And I think that would be awesome, and I could give you one way that we could make that incredible, and that, just imagine, is collecting a bunch of DX cards or a bunch of New Day cards, pulling them together and having a special New Day limited edition card, or a support, or something else, something that is worth the time collecting the cards. I still think we could easily have faction cards where we have one card with all 3 members on it. Moving on to the tweaking, tuning, and possibly even rethinking the fusions and fusion promos. Yep, that needs to be done, especially if they're bringing in these shifter fusions on a regular basis, because that looked like a bit of a mess. But here comes the really exciting stuff, because they're talking now about the future, more in the future than this, more user interface investment. And this is talking about the main menus. It's been a minute since we've made updates to the way our in-game UI looks and works. Yep, I agree. We're trying something in 2023 and we'll want to know what you think. Your feedback on this after it debuts will inform plans across Season 9. I'm hoping this means that they're going to be changing some of the graphics in-game. Maybe taking it from what it changed to in Season 2 and Season 3 and taking that to the next level. Because since then, it hasn't really changed. We've got new arenas and pay-per-view stuff, but maybe this is the change we need to keep the game fresh. And the fact that they're going to be listening to our feedback on it, I would say we're going to get this sooner rather than later. We're also making short-term fixes while we work on big ones. For example, we're going to take a pass on PvP momentum point and payouts at season launch to provide relief for an obviously troublesome area of the game. Wait, what? Thankfully, we've had that simplified because that was a mouthful. PvP points, payouts, and timers will continue to function as normal, so you can continue to grind in the modes going into Season 9. You'll still get your rewards. Some people, and even myself, thought that the grind for PvP on the last week of the season wouldn't be necessary. But no, they have stated, yep, you will still get your momentum rewards, you'll still get your PvP points or super coins, and everything else that comes with. But what they are going to do is reduce the points requirements for tier 4 and 5 momentums. That is a good start. Along with changes to war, I'm liking the sound of this. But there are 2 modes disappearing from the game as well, and I have said that part of the moving forward will also be cutting out modes that don't work as intended or aren't that great. Chart Topper's the first to go and it won't be missed, I can tell you that much. Pack Battle is also going, which means we got Pack Battles back. Now, I have to be honest, I really thought it was a slap in the face to me as a content creator that they took the Pack Battle name, whilst it doesn't belong to me, and used it for a feature in game that had nothing to do with battling packs or the idea of it. Now I've got the name back. I'm very, very happy. And yes, that means that pack battles are back, baby. Yeah. And you've already thought to yourself, what could be bigger than some of the stuff they've announced? New modes, modes going, modes coming in, modes being changed. Well, let's just say this. Season 10, they talk about Season 10, and they are hyping this up big time. It says Season 10 is going to be a fantastic moment for the game, and we hope you enjoy the build up to it in Season 9. So they are basically telling us that Season 9 is the run up to something big. Simply put, the game has to change at some point, and sometimes you have to take elements of the game and change them or get rid of them. And if that means that parts of the cards now have to go, it would make much more sense to get rid of the old and start afresh. Some people are going to disagree with me, but as a game itself, yes, we all know SuperCard needs to refresh. It needs to become more fun more often. I'm not saying that SuperCard isn't fun, it just needs to be more fun more regularly and not a slog. So a reminder to everyone, if you found that useful or you enjoyed the video or you're just hyped for Season 9, then drop a thumbs up on the video. You can do it off the top rope or you can just do it right here, just press it. You might not want to break your phone. You know, that can happen. Just don't sue me afterwards. Cool. And of course, leave your comments on what you think, not just of Season 9, but Season 10 and that crazy Logan Paul Roman Reigns match from yesterday at Crown Jewel. There will absolutely be more and more coming for Season 9 in the coming days and weeks, so make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want to stay up to date. And until the next one, I have been SuperZombGBBQ. You have been both awesome and amazing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And I'll see you soon. Peace out.